The pancakes were still warm on the plate when my phone rang. 3 perfect little dinosaurs, slightly crisp at the edges, just how Lily liked them. Ethan kissed me on the forehead before leaving for work, smelling of cinnamon, cedarwood cologne, and that quiet confidence he always wore. He pointed at the syrup bottle and grinned. "Don't forget to get the real stuff today, babe. None of that corn syrup garbage." Those were the last words he ever said to me. At 10:47 a.m., my phone lit up with a call from Amanda, his assistant. I almost let it go to voicemail. But something in my stomach clenched, a twist I couldn't name. "Rachel?" Her voice was barely recognizable, tight, trembling. "It's Ethan. He collapsed during a client meeting. Paramedics are here. They're taking him to Northwestern Memorial. Rachel, they said it's his heart." The mug slipped from my hand. The crash of ceramic on tile sounded like thunder. For half a second, I thought the world had cracked open with it. Everything that followed blurred into adrenaline. I called our neighbor Ellen to pick up Lily from school. I threw on yesterday's jeans and Ethan's hoodie and drove like I was chasing time itself. I must have run 3 red lights. My hands never stopped shaking on the wheel. I whispered bargains to God the whole way. Let him be okay. Let me see him smile one more time. Let me yell at him for never taking his blood pressure seriously. Let me, please, still have a husband when I get there. But by the time I pulled into the ER and ran inside, he was already gone. Pronounced dead at 11:23 a.m., cardiac arrest. "Massive," the nurse had said, as if the scale made any difference to the outcome. He looked like he was sleeping. I touched his face. His skin was still warm. His mouth slightly parted like he might wake and joke, "Geez, Rach, you didn't have to break the speed limit." But he didn't. He never would again. I sat beside his body, numb and shaking, while someone handed me a clipboard and asked about burial or cremation. Did he have a favorite suit? Preferred hymns? I couldn't remember how to breathe, much less answer. The worst moment wasn't at the hospital. It was telling Lily. She jumped into the back seat after school, her backpack bouncing with every step. "Where's Daddy?" she asked immediately. "He said he'd be at my art show tonight." I pulled over. I had to. My vision was going blurry. I turned around and took her tiny hands in mine. "Sweetheart, something happened today." Her eyes widened. "Daddy got really sick. His heart, it stopped working." A beat of silence. Then, "But the doctors can fix it, right?" I couldn't speak. I just shook my head. And she wailed. A raw, primal scream that didn't sound like it belonged in the body of an 8-year-old. She threw herself into my arms, sobbing, repeating, "I want my daddy," like a mantra. I held her so tight I thought I might crush her. I would have done anything to trade places with Ethan in that moment. That night, Lily slept in our bed, curled around Ethan's hoodie like it was armor. I sat on the cold bathroom floor, door closed, hands clenched around my phone, and finally made the call I'd been avoiding. My mother answered on the 5th ring. I could hear clinking silverware, laughter in the background. "Rachel, can I call you back? We're in the middle of Sophie's birthday dinner." I almost hung up. But then I said it anyway. "Mom, Ethan died this morning. A heart attack. He's gone." There was a pause. Then, "Oh, my God. Are you sure?" I saw his body. "Well, wow, that's quite a shock. But sweetheart, we're just sitting down to eat. Can you manage tonight, and we'll come by tomorrow once things settle?" I stared at the bathroom tiles like they might rearrange themselves into an alternate reality. "My husband just died," I whispered. "Your granddaughter is sobbing herself to sleep, and you're worried about Sophie's birthday dinner?" I heard my father take the phone. "This is awful news," he said. "Rachel, was Ethan's life insurance up to date?" Not, "I'm so sorry. We're coming over." Not, "What can we do to help?" Just that cold, clipped sentence. I hung up. Minutes later, my phone began pinging with texts. Not from them, but from friends, colleagues, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. Kevin's college roommate, my high school best friend, my coworker Jennifer. "Whatever you need, I'm here. Can I drop off groceries? Want company tonight?" But my own parents, the people who should have been my anchor, remained at a dinner table singing "Happy Birthday" to my sister. The next day, I waited for them to show up. They didn't. Instead, I got a short message. Thinking of you. We'll swing by when things calm down. What does calm down mean after your world explodes? I managed the funeral arrangements alone. Kevin's colleagues cried more than my own parents did. Sophie arrived 15 minutes late, made a fuss about her heels hurting, and scrolled through her phone during the eulogy. They didn't help with flowers, or food, or comfort. But during the wake, I overheard my father again, this time to Uncle Jim. Kevin must have had a nice policy, right? Partner track, the investments alone. I didn't confront him. I didn't have the energy. But a crack had formed, the kind that once made will never quite closes. That night, Lily asked if Daddy was watching from the stars. I told her yes, even though I wasn't sure I believed in anything anymore. I cried in silence after she fell asleep. And still, my parents didn't come. If you've ever been let down after giving your whole heart by the very people who were supposed to hold you, type 1 in the comments. You're not alone. The sympathy cards were still unopened when they showed up at my door. 2 weeks had passed since the funeral. I was sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by paperwork I didn't remember agreeing to. Bank forms, death certificates, school records for Lily. My brain worked in fragments now. Every morning I made a checklist just to remember how to breathe. Then the doorbell rang. I expected groceries, or maybe Ellen with another casserole. But when I checked the peephole, it was my parents, Karen and Bruce Davis, dressed like they were heading to brunch, not like they were walking into a house where grief still lingered in every wall. My mother clutched her Coach purse like a shield. My father wore his golf shirt neatly tucked in, scanning the porch light like it might malfunction. I opened the door, wary. I didn't know you were coming. We thought we'd check in, my mother said, brushing past me. See how you and Lily are doing. Is she at school? Good. We can talk openly. That should have been my first red flag. I moved like muscle memory, making coffee while they settled in the living room. My mother commented on how neat everything was. My father wandered over to inspect the new sound system Ethan had installed just a month before his death. Nice setup, he muttered. Ethan had good taste in electronics. I didn't respond. I handed them mugs, sat down across from them, and waited. It didn't take long. Bruce cleared his throat, the way he always did before shifting from pleasantries to business. Rachel, we wanted to talk to you about your situation. My situation? Your financial situation, my mother clarified, her voice mild, her eyes sharp. Now that you're adjusting to life without Ethan. Adjusting. As if I'd rearranged some furniture and moved on. I'm managing, I said stiffly. Well, my father leaned forward, setting his mug carefully on a coaster. Your mother and I are getting older. Our retirement fund took a hit after the last market downturn. Healthcare premiums are outrageous these days. I froze. Are you asking me for money? There was a pause, a shift in the air, a mutual glance exchanged between them. Not asking, my mother said lightly. Just discussing options, family helping family. What kind of options? My father brightened, apparently oblivious to my growing chill. We thought something like 50% of the life insurance payout would make sense. That would secure our retirement and still leave you and Lily well taken care of. 50%. I stared at them. You want half of the money my husband left behind for his daughter's future? And, my mother added quickly, we thought maybe a portion could also go to help Sophie. She's had a hard time finding stability with her art. A little support now could set her up long term. Unbelievable, I whispered. You weren't even there the night he died. You didn't hold me when I told Lily. You showed up late to the funeral and left early. And now, you want to cash in? My father's tone hardened. Rachel, we raised you, paid for your college, helped with the down payment on your first house. Family is a give and take. We're not outsiders. We're your blood. I felt it then, a burn rising inside me I hadn't felt since Ethan died. Anger, Not numbness, not grief, fire. You didn't comfort me. You didn't check on Lily. You asked about insurance before his body was even cold, I said through clenched teeth. And you think you're entitled to what Ethan earned? My mother's expression faltered. Sweetheart, be reasonable. Think long term. It's just practical. That word again. Practical. My chest hurt. My hand curled into a fist in my lap. Then I remembered. Ethan's envelope. 3 nights after the funeral, I'd found it while looking for a utility password in our filing cabinet. A sealed letter. My name in his handwriting. He knew. Rachel, if you're reading this, something's gone wrong with my heart. I didn't want to scare you, but I've made everything clear legally. You and Lily are protected. And there's something you need to know. Your father approached me twice in the last year about investment opportunities. They were thinly veiled asks for money. I declined politely, but I suspect he may try again. Don't let him. Lily's future is not his retirement plan. I had cried for hours after reading it. Now I felt steel behind those tears. Ethan prepared for this, I said, rising to my feet. And he made sure Lily and I are protected. You have no legal claim to anything, and no moral claim either. My father stood up too. Don't get emotional, Rachel. We're talking numbers, logic. No, I said, you're talking greed, and I'm done listening. There was a long silence. Then my mother sighed dramatically. We came to you like adults, Rachel. If you won't meet us halfway, we'll have to involve the rest of the family. Maybe even our attorney. My jaw clenched. You want to turn Ethan's death into a court case? Be my guest. But don't think I'll stand down to protect your reputation. My father shook his head like I was some irrational child. We're your parents. And you'll always be Lily's grandparents, I said coldly. But from now on, access to us comes with terms. Terms Ethan would have enforced himself. They didn't speak after that. They walked out stiffly, my mother muttering something about entitlement, my father not bothering to look back. I closed the door, locked it, then sat down on the couch, hands shaking. Across the room, Lily's school painting still sat on the mantel. Ethan had never seen it. He never would. But he had seen this coming. He had protected us. Now it was my turn. If someone's ever treated your heartbreak like a financial opportunity, type 2 in the comments. You're not wrong to set boundaries. You're just finally being heard. The envelope was thick, the kind that usually holds contracts or legal threats. It wasn't from a law office, though. It was from my father. Typed on his company letterhead with a formal tone that made my stomach turn, it read, "We believe the fair and responsible next step is for a family discussion, one that involves full transparency regarding financial decisions and an equitable distribution of what Ethan left behind. Let's meet Sunday at 2 p.m. Everyone should attend." No condolences, no acknowledgement of Ethan, just what Ethan left behind. Like my husband was a misplaced briefcase. The kicker? Everyone should attend meant they'd invited extended family, aunts, uncles, even Sophie. This wasn't a conversation, it was a tribunal. Do we have to go? Lily asked as we sat on the bed, her voice small. She'd seen the envelope. She'd seen too much lately. I think we do, I said, but only so they hear the truth, from both of us. She nodded slowly, and then added something that stunned me. Can I bring something? Something for them? I hesitated. What kind of something? You'll see, she said, a spark of her father's quiet confidence flickering in her eyes. Sunday afternoon, we arrived at my childhood home, the one with the porch swing that creaked in summer, and the hallway still lined with Sophie's framed artwork, but never any of my school awards. That old imbalance hit me like stale air. Inside, my father sat like a judge at the head of the room. My mother flanked him. Sophie lounged at the edge of the couch, scrolling through her phone, her expression unreadable. Aunts, uncles, and cousins dotted the room, some confused, some complicit. Thank you for coming, my father began. We know emotions have been high, but today is about reason. Reason? I echoed. That's what you call what you're doing? Let's stay calm, my mother interjected. This is about family unity, about supporting each other. You mean supporting you, I said. Sophie finally looked up. You've always been the selfish one, Rachel. Always hoarding attention, now money. I turned to the crowd. My husband died. My daughter lost her father. And all they've asked me since that day is how much money we got. My father stood. We helped raise you. You're standing on years of support. And now you're withholding what could help this family move forward. He handed me a printed sheet. A proposed distribution plan, 50% to my parents, 15% to Sophie. They'd calculated the value of Ethan's death down to the decimal. I couldn't breathe for a moment. You want 65% of what Ethan left for his daughter, I said. You didn't pay for it. You didn't earn it. You didn't even mourn him. My mother looked mildly offended. We mourn in different ways. Yeah, I snapped. Some of us mourn by sobbing on a bathroom floor. Others mourn by drawing up spreadsheets. Silence blanketed the room, and then Lily stepped forward. She held her own envelope in her small hands, her cheeks flushed with something like bravery, or maybe heartbreak. I made this for you, she said, walking straight toward my grandfather. He blinked, surprised. What's this, sweetheart? She handed it to him and stood her ground. It's a bill. A ripple of confused laughter, but Lily didn't flinch. He opened it. On the page, in Lily's careful printing, was a hand-drawn invoice. Bill for real love and support, being there when Daddy died. $0, not provided. Helping Mom when she cried, $0, not provided. Asking me if I'm okay, $0, not provided. Acting like real grandparents. Priceless, but not paid. Total due, $0 because you didn't earn it. You could hear a pin drop. My mother's face crumpled. My father's hands shook. Sophie blinked like she didn't understand what had just happened. Lily turned to the room. When someone dies, you're supposed to help, not ask for money. Then she walked back to me and took my hand. The entire room froze. The people who had come expecting to corner us had been gut-punched by an 8-year-old with a pen. My father cleared his throat but said nothing. My mother dabbed her eyes, but they were still dry. Sophie started muttering something, but no one was listening anymore. The story had already been rewritten, not with lawyers, not with contracts, with a child's truth. We left without saying goodbye. In the car, Lily leaned her head against the window. Was it okay that I made the bill? I squeezed her hand. It was perfect. If you've ever had to remind someone that love can't be calculated, type 3 in the comments. Sometimes you have to send the invoice no one wants to receive. The letter arrived on a Tuesday, certified mail. I knew what it was before I opened it, just like I knew my parents wouldn't let the invoice incident go without retaliation. They were never good losers, and certainly never good at being called out in front of an audience. The envelope was formal, the return address typed neatly. Bruce Davis and Associates, Estate Mediation Advisory. My father was using his company's letterhead now, as if this were a business dispute, as if my husband's death was a contractual inconvenience. Inside was a 4-page letter. The opening line hit like a slap. Rachel, your refusal to reach a reasonable agreement regarding Ethan Monroe's estate has left us no choice but to consider alternate legal pathways. They weren't just threatening a lawsuit. They were using words like contesting the will, implied dependency, and familial restitution. My father, always the strategist, had done his homework, and was now treating me like a hostile client. I should have been afraid. But instead, I felt something else. Resolve. Ethan had warned me in that final letter. He'd predicted all of this. That wasn't just heartbreak, it was strategy. It was love, written in legal foresight. He didn't just die trying to protect us. He planned to keep protecting us. So I called Thomas, our estate lawyer. After scanning the documents, he leaned back and let out a low whistle. This is smoke, Rachel. They have no legal standing. You're the sole beneficiary. The trust for Lily is ironclad. This isn't law, it's intimidation. Can they drag it into court just to scare me? I asked. He nodded. They can try, but they won't win. Not with the structure Ethan built. He was smarter than they gave him credit for. My eyes burned. Not just from the legal pressure, but from the deep, aching knowledge that Ethan had trusted me to finish what he started. At home, Lily sat at the kitchen table working on a school project. What makes a family? She'd drawn 3 stick figures: herself, me, and Marcus. I saved space in case we let Grandma and Grandpa back in, she said, not looking up. I crouched beside her, running my fingers through her hair. We'll see, baby, but only if they earn it. Meanwhile, my parents' tactics escalated. They tried to reach me through friends, through social media, even through Lily's school. The principal called after my mother showed up during pickup, claiming she needed to drop off books. We'd already added them to the no-contact list. The school handled it, professionally and swiftly. But still, it rattled me. They were no longer just overstepping. They were trying to force their way in. I sent a formal cease and desist letter through Thomas. And then I blocked them. Everywhere. A month passed. Then something shifted. A second letter arrived. Not typed, not on business stationery, just plain folded paper, handwritten. Rachel, we've spent the last few weeks reflecting, not just on what we did after Ethan's death, but on who we've been throughout your life. We failed you, and we failed Lily. We let entitlement and ego turn us into people we no longer recognize. We're not asking for forgiveness, just a chance, someday, to prove through actions, not demands, that we can do better. It didn't feel like manipulation this time, but I didn't reply. Some wounds don't close on apology alone. Meanwhile, the people who mattered most were showing up. Marcus moved back from Japan and took a teaching position nearby. True to his word, he kept every promise he'd made to Ethan. He helped with school drop-offs, grief counseling appointments, and late-night chess games when Lily couldn't sleep. Ethan's parents, Diana and Robert, visited monthly, bringing photo albums, telling bedtime stories about young Ethan and all the silly things he'd done. They never once asked for anything. They just showed up, quiet, steady, and full of love. One night after dinner, Marcus said something I hadn't been ready to admit. You don't owe them access, Rachel. You don't owe them redemption. That's not what legacy means. He was right. Ethan's legacy wasn't money. It was Lily's curiosity, her courage, her ability to write truth on paper and hand it to people who should have known better. It was the structure he built, so she would never have to depend on people who treated love as a transaction. 3 months later, I hosted a small backyard celebration for Ethan's birthday. Barbecue, jazz, memory boards. People brought stories instead of gifts. Kevin's former co-workers shared the jokes he used to tell at 8 a.m. meetings. My neighbor Ellen brought his favorite peach cobbler. And Lily presented her "What Makes a Family" poster. She added a 4th figure that night, Uncle Marcus. Stick figure, glasses and all. My parents were not invited. And still that night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she whispered, "Do you think they'll ever change?" I paused. "I don't know." "Daddy would want them to," she said, "but only if they mean it." If you've ever had to protect someone's legacy, because no one else would, type 4 in the comments, and keep protecting it. It matters more than they know. Weeks later, I received a final letter. Inside was a check for $5 and a note. "Consider this payment for all the love we failed to give. We'll start from 0 if you'll let us." It wasn't enough, but maybe, just maybe, it was something.